No. So here's the question that comes into the equation. Is who's going to play center this season? All right. And I think this is where I'm coming from with it, because I know people get excited and they go, hey, Tate Ratledge, he's snapping the ball now. And we had the Georgia Bulldogs writer who came on, told us that I've never heard this before, that he was the emergency center at Georgia. So he wasn't, just in case there was an emergency, he would play center. He played, I think, tackle coming out of high school, played guard at Georgia, was very good at guard. He's not, to go from not snapping the ball at Georgia to playing center as a rookie, it was just not going to happen. I'm telling you, it's not going to happen. What's going to happen is Graham's going to play center this season for the Lions. Tate Ratledge is going to play guard. And then maybe as the years go on, maybe next offseason, you could start having that conversation now with Tate playing a year at guard. Maybe it's like Panay. Panay played left tackle and then moved to right tackle. I think there could be something like that with Tate, but to suggest that he plays it this season, there is, I think, probably a 5% chance he plays that. And I'm only doing that because I'm throwing a little bone out there. I just don't see the Lions throwing Tate Ratledge in the fire at center. Like, that's just not fair to him. You know what I mean? Like, as much responsibility as that position commands, and you have a rookie who's never played center, and you're just like, hey, dude, we're getting a Super Bowl, and you're going to play the most important position besides tackle for us as a rookie. Like, that's just like, I don't think that's fair to him. So I'm going to go Graham at center, Tate at guard. And although at times it's going to look it's going to get, it's going to be a little tricky.
It'll take time.
That's just the best. Unfortunately, that's just the best option they have. They just don't have anyone else that could fit that role. Maybe Miles Frazier, but again, a rookie, no way. I don't see that either.
So this is my theory. And when all this happened today, and you know what, again, I think we all should deserve a grieving period, because as soon as it happened, I tweeted out your next starting center, Tate Ratledge. I put with the question mark too, so people can't really say Booner. And then before the show, I actually tweeted out my opening week depth chart prediction. And I said, Graham Glasgow will be your starting center. And Tate Ratledge will play his normal position at right guard. Now, this is what's going to happen. And Jeff, I agree and disagree with you, because Tate Ratledge will be your franchise's starting center of the future. Like, he will be that guy. I genuinely believe that they will get him. I think he is good enough, and for them to, I know they get everyone reps at a certain spot, but at rookie minicamp, for him to get those reps, and then at OTAs, for them to be like, hey, he's getting first team snaps, that shows me that, hey, they know what's going on with Frank. Tate Ratledge is going to train at center, and he is going to learn. And what's going to happen, and listen, Jeff, this is where you might be like, Booner, pick a side. I think through training camp and through this offseason, they're going to throw Tate Ratledge at center and right guard is like 50-50 split. And I think they're going to throw everything at him in center. They're going to try and teach him. They're going to see what he can handle, all of that. And if he's ready to go by week one, and you're like, and it happens all the time in the league, we're like, oh, this kid is like that good. Like, he's got it. Then I think week one, you're looking at a Tate Ratledge. But I think at some point, if they don't feel he's ready, it's going to be Graham. And it could be week 4. It could be week 7. It could be next year. As soon as they feel like Tate Ratledge is at that level to be your starting center, he will be your future starting center. And that, I'll die on the hill. It might not be right away, but it's going to happen. I think it's inevitable for him to be your starting center. I look at guys like Cooper Beebe last year, who came out of Kansas State, who was a guard in Dallas, comes into Dallas as a guard, I think their center went down or something happened, moves over to center, boom, good to go. And they were like, hey, this guy, the traits he has, he's ready to go. It's his mind. He's at that level. We talked about how much we loved him last year. Look at, I don't remember where he went. I think it might've been Las Vegas. Jackson Powers Johnson was the number 1 rated guard coming out of the draft last year. And he was going to be a guard for the Raiders. Guess what happened? Center goes down. Who steps up? Jackson. He actually talked about it on a podcast. I'll do it. Jackson Powers Johnson steps up. He is now their starting center for their franchise moving forward. Like, you see it all the time. I think it's the same thing with Tate Ratledge, to where this guy's like, I'll die to win games. I think Tate Ratledge, it could be, again, I know people, hey, this is it's weak to say this, Booner. No, like, I wouldn't be shocked if he's your starting center week 1. And I also wouldn't be shocked if they're like, hey, we don't feel he is ready yet, but he will be your starting center at some point this season. So
it's just
that's kind of where I'm at with it.
I wonder, because we've seen the lines last year with Terrion Arnold, cornerback 1 of this team. I know they had Carlton Davis, but you saw points where Davis went down. Like, they threw Terrion out there. When is a good time to throw Tate Ratledge out there in the middle of the season? Because when you look at Graham started to show some big signs of struggle at left guard. So if you move him to center, where we've even seen, like, he's naturally a guard and a center, but we've seen him struggle at center times when Frank wasn't there. So would you rather just, hey, say Frank or Graham, play your best position at right guard, and Tate, we got to figure this out ASAP, because later in the year we got divisional games. When you look at the Minnesota Vikings, what they just invested in their interior, their defensive line, getting Jonathan Allen in free agency. Chicago, Javon Dexter is a monster. If you didn't see it when the Lions were playing him this year, Javon Dexter is going to be a problem for a long time. And then they got Montez Sweat even dipping inside. And Green Bay has Kenny Clark and Devontae Wyatt. So even inside the NFC North, the divisional games, the interior of that offensive line is going to be exposed. I would rather, if you're going to go with Tate, do it week 1 and figure out those struggles versus, hey, Graham, we have to figure out that you're not going to be the guy this year at center, and we're going to go with Tate in the middle of the season and be like, you know what, figure it out now. I say if you're going to go with Tate at any point during the season, you might as well start out week 1, let him go up against the Packers, let him go up against the Bears, let him go with the Ravens, and then you got the Browns. Figure it out the week against the Browns. You had 3 games where you're like, okay, this is tough, but if you're going to be the center going forward for this team, week 1, that's where you should be playing. Because regardless, to your guys' point, he's going to have struggles. If he goes at guard, he's going to have to figure out the NFL spot at guard. He's going to struggle. Or you put him at center, say, this is where you're going to go, figure it out. Because he is an intelligent football player. He does, when you see him move, like, he's quick at getting to the second level. He has all the traits of a center that you could want. So now it's time to develop it. Brad's big on development. You're cross-training him right now. Let's see it. Because coming out of Georgia, I do have faith that he would be able to, not week 1, but he was a high-level guard at Georgia. And Booner, you're bringing up guys in the NFL that have done it before. I think if you're going to pick a guy out of that draft class at guard to be like, okay, go try to play some center, it would be outside of Jared Wilson, who was already at Georgia. Only played 1 year, though. It would be Tate Ratledge. The dude's just a natural offensive lineman in the interior. So there's traits of success that could be there. I'd rather go with it off the rip.
Yeah. I do think, though, like, with the whole thing, too, with Glasgow, like, I do think Glasgow would rather play guard. And someone put it in the chat there, like, Glasgow might not want to play center full time. And, like, Glasgow, obviously, if the coach is like, hey, we need you here, he's going to do it. He's a team guy. But do you think he really would rather play? Like, I feel like he's more so that I would rather be at guard.
I mean,
at the end of the day.
I don't know if, I get what you're saying. I don't know if that should factor in as much, like, because your point. Like,
what's he better at, though?
He wasn't bad at center.
Really, but who would, you know, what position?
I think, if I'm being completely honest, who's a better week 1 option? Graham.
It's Graham. Yeah. And I get what Klotz is saying. I just think it takes time. Like, I think the center position compared to guard, it's like, okay, you have this job. Yeah, center, again, it's a conversation we had with Frank. Like, you have to know everyone's job. You don't need to just know, hey, guard. It's like, hey, you need to know what the quarterback's doing, what the center's doing, both guards. You need to know everything. Tight ends.
Yeah. And
it's going to take a little longer.
And Graham's played center with the Broncos. He played center with he has experience playing center. So that's why I think week 1 he'll play it. Now, I'm not saying throughout the season, maybe he's so bad you have to make a switch, but I just don't see Tate starting week 1 at center. I don't.
That's where I'm at. That's why I tweeted out.
But we agree he's the future center. I mean,
It's just I run into the problem is, like, I agree with you guys that week 1 Graham probably would be the good option. But, like, let's look. I believe it's week 8 or 9. Whichever week they play the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And they got to go up against Kalijah Kancey, who's very quick, very elusive. This is going to be a Monday night game. The Buccaneers won in Detroit, whooped their ass. Not whooped their ass, but for the game, they controlled it. And you're going to have Graham Glasgow going up against Kalijah Kancey. That is not going to be good. He doesn't have that step anymore.
Yeah,
and I just look at that.
You're doing matchups, but it's like, hey, you're talking about Tate Ratledge, a rookie. Like, to me, it's like you can't.
Like, I would almost, because of the athleticism and because how just where they are at their step. Like, when I see Tate Ratledge, I have a little bit more confidence. I agree with you that as far as just a pure center, Graham's probably better right now. But up to that point during that season when you're starting to go up against, now we got the Commanders. Now we got the Cowboys who have a good defensive line, the Eagles late in the season, in the playoffs. It's going to probably be the better option at that point would be Tate.
You can train him, though.
Full season.
But Klotz, like the point is, at least in my opinion, it's like if you just throw him out to the Wolves as a center week 1, knowing like, hey, he's not ready, but hey, let's get him experience, and you lose a couple games because like you're having some struggles there, and it's like you just let a rookie at center, and you knew he wasn't ready, and you could have taken the safe option and said, hey, let's get our vet in there that's played this in big games, has played center in his career, and started for a long time in center at times in his career. You can trust him, and you can say, hey, let's get through these games. Let's let Tate keep learning off the outside of games at practice. Like game experience, yes, it helps. You could still learn. Like he could still learn to where when he does step in, he's going to be better than he would be week 1. So it's like, let's wait until he gets to that level. Well, boom, throw him in. It's too important of a position.
No one's mentioned it is new offensive coordinator. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
you're going to want someone that already has been, you know what I mean? Like to have a new OC week 1. I know it's a similar system, but okay, that helps Graham then. Like Graham's been in the system already. You know what I mean? So I think what you're saying, Klotzy, is right. I just don't know if it'll be
the actual outcome.
I think if you were at a different team, like if you were like with the Panthers or like with the Titans or something, and you have a guy, you're like, ooh, like our center just retired. We just drafted a guard. Let's throw him into the Wolves the first few weeks and let him get that experience. I just don't think the Lions can afford to drop a couple games or maybe even one game just based off of, hey, we have a rookie playing center, our most important position on the offensive line, especially in the offense that you have. You're sitting there, you're like, if that happens, hindsight, you're going to be like, oh man, like those.
Well, you know what they're going to have to do more of, and they had this benefit with Frank where you could put them one-on-one with guys. They're going to have to double. Like you're going to have Graham and Tate, Graham and Christian. Like you can leave Panay on an island, but like Decker probably going to have to be on an island sometimes. You know what I mean? Like, because Frank, you could straight up be like, all right, Frank, go handle it. You know what I mean? Now, like you can't just say that to Graham. Like as much as I love Graham, just not that type of player. And Nick P says this. He does stream on Twitch, by the way. I always forget. It's like free content. You could probably ask him questions too. Graham said today on Twitch he is content with being at center or right guard. Hey, what's going on there? It's Jeff Iafrate. Appreciate you for finishing the video. You can check out one of the videos here suggested or show support by commenting, liking, and subscribing. And buy your merchandise, officialctsports.com.